everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be doing my March TBR. I may have gone a little overboard with March because if I do all the things I want to do, it would be 14 books. Which I don't know where I'm supposed to get the time for this, and a lot of them are big books. So most of them are probably not going to happen. I'm going to do this the same way I actually did it last month. So in the sections that I break them up in my bullet journal. So I'm going to go through them in book club, video ideas, and then just other books. We'll go through the book clubs first. I actually only have one, maybe two. The second one's a bit of a stretch, but we might put it in the book club section. But the first one was a book that I actually spoke about last month, and that is The Light of All That Falls by James Islington, which is the third and final book in the Lycanius trilogy. And this is a book that I'm reading for the Backlist Book Club, which I am a co-host of. And obviously it is run by Cassidy, and the other co-hosts are Mel and Kaylee. And there's been mixed opinions on this series. I gave the first one a really high 4-star, I really enjoyed it. And I gave the second one a mid 3-star. And this one scares me because it is 800 pages. And also I heard that you either love the ending or you hate it. And I'm very nervous, but I'm optimistic. I'm going to be optimistic because I did see that Jade recently read this and she gave that 5 stars. But this series follows a world where these people called augurs used to be in charge, and they had these kind of mysterious gifts, including having visions. And they were in charge also of these other magical people that could use this magic called the essence, and those people were called the gifted. And eventually their visions stopped working, and the gifted kind of ran wild, did some pretty bad things, and eventually people rose up against them, and now the gifted are treated pretty poorly, and they have to obey really strict rules and all of this. And at the beginning of this trilogy, we follow Davian, and he is about to undergo his trials to see if he can actually control this magic, and he has never actually really been able to work his powers. And the night before these trials happen, someone comes to him and says that he is not going to pass these trials and he should flee. And so him and his best friend end up setting off towards the boundary because it might be falling apart, and they're going to see if they can put it back together. And yeah, as I said, I'm optimistic about this, but I don't want to get my hopes up too much in case I'm disappointed, but also I really want it to be good because I think the lecture will be the 11th of March. I think that's the Saturday. So then the second book that I want to talk about in kind of a book club, but also not really, is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by S.A. Chakraborty, and this is the Late Night Cruise unofficial book club pick. So obviously it's unofficial, and also they sprint at 12 o'clock midnight and I am asleep because I am an old lady. But I am really excited for this book, and I am in their Discord, so I will probably be reading through everyone's messages and maybe pop in a few myself. I really can't tell you what this book is about because I don't know. I know that it follows a young woman and she is a pirate, or she becomes a pirate, and I know that it is set in the real world, but kind of in a similar vein as Daevabad, it is set in the real world, but there is obviously magical element. I think that Daevabad might actually exist in this book. I briefly mentioned, but not a big deal. It is the first book that she's coming out with that is not part of the Daevabad world, which I absolutely adore the Daevabad world, and I'm really excited to try out her next work. So I will hopefully be getting to that this month, and I will probably be reading it as an audiobook. I'm hoping SCRIBD will do them as an audiobook because they've done all of the Daevabad ones, and I have all of her books in the paperbacks, so I'm gonna have to wait a while before I can actually own it physically. So I'm hoping for the audiobook. I don't think there's anything else I need to read for book clubs. So then the next section that I'm going to talk about is video ideas. So one of my video ideas I haven't actually set a TBR for, so I'm going to leave that out here, but it would be another 3 books on my TBR probably, and I'm not 100% sure if I will do it this month. I will either do it this month or next month. But I will talk to you about the next video idea that I have, which is reading my past book hauls. And basically I was going through all my book hauls and all of this, and I discovered actually that only from because I'm going back to 2021 and 2022, I actually only have one book from January, February, March, April of 2021 and 2022. So I've read all of the books that I hauled in those months. I didn't actually haul a lot though, so I only have one book. Technically 2, but I'm not I'm almost definitely not going to read the second book, because the second book is The Bone Ship's Wake by R.J. Barker, which is the third and final book in the Bone Ship series. Tide Child, that's what it's called. The Tide Child trilogy, which I did not like that series. The second book was my least favorite book of last year, and that was the first backlist book club pick. I did not enjoy it, and so I'm almost definitely, despite the fact that I own it, I still own it, I haven't unhauled that entire series yet, I'm almost definitely not going to pick up the final book. But who knows, maybe I will be persuaded. Because like, and a one book vlog is very boring, but like in future installments there will be more books, because like May is my birthday month, so when I do it in May, I'm gonna have so many books to choose from. I'll probably just like pick them out of a jar, but I'm getting ahead of myself. That's May's TBR problem. But that means that the one book that I will read for that vlog definitely is going to be The Liar's Knot by M.A. Carrick, and this is the second book in the Rook and the Rose trilogy. And I read the first one in January and I gave it 4 stars. I really liked it. It is a very slow-paced, world-focused and like extremely detailed book, and I just really like took my time with it and just kind of like fell in love with the whole world and just all of the intricacies of this plot and this world and just how everything is so well planned out. I really did fall in love with that. But if you are someone who like absolutely cannot stand slow paced, nothing is happening, don't read this book or the series. Like, it will not be for you. So it follows Ren, who is a con artist, and she is setting out for the biggest con of her life, and she's going to impersonate a noble. And this noble family that she impersonates actually is in a lot of debt, and so she doesn't realize this at first, but then when she, you know, infiltrates the house, she realizes this, and so she is basically helping them get back on their feet, so they will then accept her as a member of the family, and then she can get her share. And also while that is happening, there is kind of some mysterious happenings in the poorer districts of this world, and since she grew up in these, she is kind of attracted to helping what is happening in there. As I said, I really enjoy this, and I have heard from Maria that this one actually starts even slower than the first one, so like I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited all the same. But it will probably take me a while to get through, and it is a 630-ish page book. And so then the other vlog that I want to do, I'll be doing it over the first roughly 2 weeks of March, and that will be a final books reading vlog. So obviously Final Book Support Group is happening in March, and it is happening all month. I know that there are prompts and all this. I actually haven't even picked a team because I know there's cabins and all of this. Like, it's all very well planned. So I can go with Wolf's Tooth, Stag's Antler, Buzzard's Beak, Bear's Claw. Bear's Claw, I'm going. Final book, use a color wheel, light cover, big book, hiking trail, go for a walk, poke into the bear, something dark and dangerous. And then Buzzard's Beak is final book, use a letter generator, typography cover, paperback book, arts and crafts, go to the lookout, something beautiful and alluring. The Stag's Antler, final book, use an emoji generator, illustrated cover, hardback book, drink a hot chocolate, visit the lake, something calm and magical. And then the Wolf's Tooth, final book, use a random number generator, a dark cover, small book, make s'mores, visit the depths, something wild. I'll probably end up going for Bear's Claw, because something dark and dangerous, I feel like a lot of books will go for a walk, that's fine. Big book, literally already all of the books I've talked about are big books. Light cover, Light of All That Falls, literally a light cover, and has the word light. And then use a color wheel, I can do that. And then final book. I'm about to talk about a lot of final books, so I'll probably end up doing Bear's Claw. There are 4 final books that I want to read in that vlog, and obviously one of them I have already talked about, which is The Light of All That Falls. The Discord of Gods by Jen Lyons. I am so excited to read this. This is actually going to be the next book that I pick up, and I'm like a little nervous because I just read The House of Always, and I'm like, oh, will it be too repetitive because of like how the books are written? Like, will it seem like too repetitive, being like the whole back and forth thing? But also I need to finish this series, so I'm like, do I do it? Do I not? But I'm doing it. I have to start it. So this will be my first book of the month. I'm so excited, but also I'm terrified to finish this series. I love it so much. I started this September 2021. Yes, September 2021 I read The Rune of Kings. So in The Rune of Kings we follow Kieran as he is sitting in a jail cell of some sort, and he has been instructed to tell his life story. And so he starts telling his life story by telling the story of how he got sold into slavery and was basically taken to this island by people, and then he learned how to fight and all of this. And the person that is with him goes, no, that is not where your story starts. It actually starts way further back. And so then they are telling the story of his life from when he was younger, when he grew up in a brothel, and then he got he ran into a demon, and when he escaped this, he then got claimed as the long lost son for this like royal house. And then eventually these two plots meet. We basically find out that kind of everyone wants a piece of Kieran because he might be destined to destroy the empire. And as I said, this is the finale. I'm so excited. So excited. So yeah, a big book, a final book. Like, what was one of the other prompts? Like dark and mysterious or something? Dark and dangerous. Yeah, it has a skull. Dark and dangerous. Then the second one is the second book in the Skein series. So the first book is why can I never remember the name of this series? So the first book in the series was A Shiver of Snow and Sky, and then there is another book, and that is a prequel, I believe. Yes, and that is A Storm of Ice and the Stars. And as I said, it is a prequel set, I think, I'm trying to see. Doesn't seem to be saying when. But I think it's a couple of 100 years maybe before the first book, and we follow obviously a different cast of characters. And the red lights appear, which red lights appearing in the sky means the goddess is warning them that something bad is coming. And I think our main character is obviously going to try and stop this. And yeah, I was going to save this for Polarthon next year, but I'm trying to like not have a million series on my currently reading, so I might as well read it. And like the audiobook is 8 hours long, and I usually listen on 3 times speed, so not even 3 hours. So like that is maybe 2 days it'll take me to read that. So something nice and quick. And then the last book that I'm going to be doing for my final books reading vlog is going to be The Suffering, which is by Rin Shepeko, and it is the second book in the Girl in the Well series. I read The Girl in the Well, I think in November, and I actually really loved it. It ended up really surprising me how much I enjoyed it, and it had a really unique writing style, and it was just like fun. Like obviously it's like YA horror, and like it did definitely like had that atmosphere and all of that, but it was also just like really fun. And like it is a bit tropey because it's like 2014 was when it was like originally published. I was going to wait to see if they did a matching cover for the second book, but number one, I haven't seen anything yet, and again, I want to get some book series off my currently reading, and I could do that by reading The Suffering, which is an ebook on SCRIBD. So I'm going to do that. And the first book follows our main character, who is a ghost, and she is a ghost who goes after people who hurt children. And then she comes across this boy, and there's something really strange about him, and then there seems to be another spirit that is following him around, and then she kind of ends up trying to stop this other spirit. And I don't really know how the second book is going to go, but I am intrigued. So that will be so yes, so those are the 4 books that I'm going to be reading for my final books reading vlog. And now we're on to our last little subsection of my TBR, and that is just random books that I want to read. And so the first one I want to read is Victory of Eagles by Naomi Novik, and this is the 5th book in the Temporary series. I'm reading one a month, and you know, while it's not a final book, it is making progress in a series, which is good. And I need to actually buy the 6th one because, as I said, I'm reading one a month and I'm all up. So this series follows Captain Will Lawrence, and it is set in the Napoleonic Wars, except this is an alternate history where dragons exist. And he gets into a bit of a skirmish with a French ship, and then they end up winning. And so they get to take all of the possessions on this friendship, and then include the dragon egg. And dragon eggs are obviously extremely valuable, but then this egg starts to hatch, and nobody on the ship really knows what to do with it. They know that you're supposed to harness them immediately to kind of take control of them, and none of them want to do it because they are obviously men of the Navy instead of aviators. But Captain Will Lawrence, he steps up because he's not going to force one of his men to do something that he wouldn't, and then he ends up naming this dragon Temeraire, and they end up forming a bond, and the series just follows them, all of their different journeys as they, you know, help the war effort against Napoleon. And as I said, this is the 5th book. The last book, the way it ended, was really good, so I'm excited to read this. And this is I mean, compared to the other books I've been talking about, very short. It's like 340. It's about 340 pages, which is very nice compared to some other ones. Like, I know the second skein book and the Suffering should also be pretty short, but like there's a lot of chunky books on this list, so nice to have another like smaller one in. A reoccurring book on the TBR this month is Fool's Quest. I'm actually not even going to tell you what this is about because I talk about it every month because I'm like, I need to finish this series. It's getting to the point that I'm just so afraid to finish the series, like genuinely afraid to finish a book series. What is wrong with me? Your girl needs to get a move on and finish the series. Like, you know it's going to emotionally devastate you, just get over it. And then the last book that I also want to read this month is one that I don't own yet, but I have pre-ordered, and that is The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. So basically the paperback kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed. It was supposed to come out in January, it didn't. It's supposed to come out sometime in March, but Waterstone's orders can be a bit odd to get to Ireland and they can take some time. So like this mightn't happen in March. It all depends on whether I actually get the book or not, because I'm getting the nice edition with the sprayed edges, and I don't really know what this book is about. I know that it started as a choose your own adventure on Twitter and kind of just getting the whole community involved, and then it eventually became kind of bigger than that, and she has made it into a book. And I know that it seemed like a pretty like typical YA kind of like mysterious town, and there are some sort of monsters, and obviously these teens have to take care of it, and our main character Winnie, I think, is like trying to prove herself to be able to be a part of like these monster hunters or something like that. And that's kind of all I know about it, but I absolutely adore the Witchland series by Susan Dennard, so I'm hoping that I will also love this. Yeah, like, and what, this is only like half of them, and I seriously, like, this is a TBR on its own. Like, this is a decent TBR by itself, and I have like, how many other books that I have on top of that? What is wrong with me? And thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.